Hey, math student. Today we're going to be talking about converting capacity or units of capacity. And when we say capacity, we're talking about how much a container can hold. And so you're familiar with container sizes that you've been using all your life and the ones that hold liquid measurement. So we're talking about things like gallons and quarts and pints and cups and ounces. Or if we're talking about the metric system, we're talking about liters or milliliters. Okay, now just like with all the other units, when you convert within these units, you're going to go from larger to smaller units and using multiplication. If you're going from smaller unit to a larger unit, you're going to have to use division. And we had a memory device that we used by putting our hands together. And if we were going from a smaller unit, we did that by putting our hands together closely and moving them apart for a larger unit and saying, oh, that's our division sign in between. But if we were starting with a larger unit, we held our hands apart to represent the larger unit. And then we said we're changing it to a smaller, so we crisscrossed our hands, slid right past each other, and made a multiplication sign. So when we change from a larger unit to a smaller, we're going to multiply. All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, we just need to know our equivalencies. And so you could use a chart like the one that's on the paper that you're going to be working with today. And those show all the equivalencies. Or you might remember that thing we did in class called the big G. And with the big G, you got to have big hands. So monkey, I'm going to have to do this, and you're just going to have to watch. With the big G, we know that inside of every gallon, you have 4 quarts. And so we represented that with 4 large Qs. And most of us know that there are 4 quarts in a gallon. All right, the next thing you have to remember in this big G is the unit that fits inside of the quart. And you might not think about those things called pints, but the next size down is pints. And we sort of made a little joke about that and said, this is a quart of pp. All right, and so that's pretty memorable. We've got a quart of pp, which stands for pint. And then we do the same to all 4 of the quarts. That's some slippery pp. All right, so here we can look, and just with this one big G, we can already answer some conversion questions like, how many pints are in 2 quarts? 4. How many pints are in a gallon? 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 8. How many quarts are in half of a gallon? 2. So this makes some pretty quick math out of some of those questions. It really simplifies the equivalency problem, remembering all those things. Okay, so the next smaller unit down is the cup. And anybody that's done any baking and made brownies before, you know about cups. All right, so in each pint, there are 2 cups, and we do that by representing that with 2 C's. And we do that for all of the pints in our big G. All right, so this gives us just about all of the measurements, and we're just left with that one, and that's ounces, that smallest one. And so we need to just remember that there are 8 ounces in a cup. All right, so from this point on, you could use this big G instead of an equivalency table to solve our problems. All right, so let's get on with some problems for today. Oh, I see we have a question. Yes, monkey, what is it? Oh, I forgot to say something about the metric system. All right, easy enough. And that's important. The thing you need to know about in the metric system is that they measure capacity with liters and milliliters. 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. And even on a bottle of Expo whiteboard cleaner, you can look down on the liquid measurements, and I can see I've got 8 ounces here for U.S. customary. And then right here, I have the metric measurement of 237 milliliters. Thank you, monkey. Thank you, monkey, for fixing that misspelling on capacity. All right, so here's our first problem. I hope you have a piece of paper and work these out with me so you can be an expert on converting units of capacity. So our question is, if you had 2 quarts of, say, lemonade, and you wanted to change that into cups to see how many cups you could get out of that. Well, I know I'm going from quarts to cups, and so I'm going from a larger to a smaller unit, so I'm going to be multiplying. So I write down my 2, and I put my multiplication. And I'm going to ask how many cups are in a quart. So I can look back up at my conversion chart up here, and I can see that in each quart, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of the cups. So I'm going to multiply by 4 to find out the number of cups I have in 2 pints. 2 times 4 is 8. I have 8 cups. Let's look at this problem. On this one, we are going from cups to pints. I'm going from a smaller unit to a larger unit. And in that case, I'm going to divide. So write down my 10 and then my division sign. I'm going to ask how many cups are in a pint. And again, I can see there are 2 cups in each pint. So I'm going to be dividing by 2 to get 5. So 10 cups is equal to 5 pints. All good, monkey. A metric problem for you. I have 12 liters of Coke, and I want to see how many milliliters is that. Well, I know that I'm going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, so I need to multiply. Then I'm going to ask how many milliliters are in a liter. Well, I know that there are 1,000. I'm going to do some mental math here. I know 12 times 1 is 12, and I'm going to add next 3 zeros. So I know that 12 liters of Coke is equivalent to 12,000 milliliters of Coke. So we're going to do 2 more problems, and then you're going to be doing these on your Google Slides activity today. All right, so we have 11 pints, and we're going to change it to ounces. I'm going from pints all the way down to ounces. So I'm going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, so I'm going to multiply. I'm going to ask myself how many ounces are in a pint. I'm going to have to look over here. I know that there are 8 ounces in a cup. And since I have 2 cups here, that's going to be 8 and 8, which is 16. So now I need to multiply 11 times 16. We're going to use a standard algorithm and practice the steps. Come down and put a 0. I get 176. So 11 pints is going to be 176 ounces. In our last problem, 48 quarts is equal to how many gallons? Well, I know that I'm going from a smaller unit to a larger unit. So in this case, I'm going to have to divide. I divide by looking and seeing how many quarts are in a gallon. Okay, and even without looking, I know it's going to be 4. So I have to divide 48 divided by 4 to find out how many gallons or 48 quarts is equal to. So I get a total of 12. So I can tell that 48 quarts is equal to 12 gallons. Okay, boys and girls, good luck on the activity today, and see you later. Monkey says.